The road to recovery is your decision. There's only one way, and that's to run with a vision.
Man, so I appreciate you coming through. You didn't have to come and share your story, but you did, and it took a lot to get you here. You know what I'm saying? So you want to explain to the people, where you were born and when?
Man, first and foremost, man, it's an honor just to be here. Thank you for having me here, man. So my name is Danny Riddle, man, and I was born and raised on the east side of Athens, man. Grew up in the Nelly B area. My mom, single parent home. Didn't have a whole lot, man, but so yeah, I grew up on the east side of Athens, man.
So just your mom?
Just my mom. My dad got locked up early, man. So didn't grow up with my father in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Tough times in the house, man. A lot of things happened in my mom's house, man, and ended up having to leave and go stay with my grandmother, man. Getting molested in my mom's house. So I ended up going to stay with my grandmother.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, so how old were you when you went to stay with your grandma?
I think I was in the third grade.
Third grade.
Yeah, I was third grade when I went to go stay with my grandma, man, and I remember calling my grandmother and asking her if I could come stay with her. And I really didn't get into a whole lot what was going on, and her response was, if you come stay with me, you got to go to church. And it didn't going to church wasn't a big thing, man, because I wanted to get away from the pain. There was a lot of pain that I was.
Third grade, so you were already had that pain. Yeah, them grandma was big on that church.
Yeah.
Grandma big on that church, man. Yeah, so grew up on the east side. So did anyone around you, like coming up, did they drink or do any type of drugs or anything like that?
Yeah.
That kind of influenced you a little bit, or?
So I grew up in the area where parents would have weed party. They would just sit around smoking, and my mom had this tray where they would just roll up. Look, they wasn't blunts. It was little top papers or whatever, and she would have company and they would smoke and pass it, and I remember being between some of the people, and I would hit it one time, and they thought it was funny and they laughed. Man, my dad always.
So how old were you when you?
My first time hitting I was 6 years old. I was 6 years old when I hit. I had my first beer at 8 years old. And my dad had just came home from prison, and I had a football game, and I scored a touchdown in the football game, and I remember coming home and telling my dad that I scored a touchdown, and he was so excited, and so his way of celebrating, he gave me. So they used to have these beers they call Miller High Life ponies, little 7.5 ounce beer, and he gave me one of those as a celebratory type thing, right? And man, I remember how that beer made me feel.
At eight,
man, it made me, and then it kind of made me forget about a little bit of the pain of being molested, man. Because
that type of pain.
Yeah.
That type of pain.
Yeah, I remember how that my first beer made me feel, and I liked it. So now, next week when it was time to play, man, I went out there and tried to score more touchdowns because I figured that he's gonna give me more beer if I score more touchdowns, man. But yeah.
Man, at 8 years old. So you smoking at 6, smoking weed at 6. Did you get I mean, how'd that make you feel?
Man, I don't know what I felt, but I know that that's what I saw, and I did it, man, and I just got to giggling, and I would eat, but and I think I didn't smoke, I started smoking weed on a regular maybe once I got to high school.
Okay.
But I quit. After my 10th grade year, I think I smoked weed like my 9th and 10th grade year, and I didn't smoke anymore after that.
Okay. So did you have a lot of friends like coming up in school and when you played sports?
Man, I played sports, man, and I played basketball, football, baseball, all when I was little, right? But as I got into high school, man, I concentrated on basketball. So I was well known for playing basketball.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So now I don't know if I had a lot of friends or but I know I had a lot of enemies. I know I had a lot of enemies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you know you had a lot of enemies? Like,
man, because I got into a lot of fights and got into, there was, with basketball, man, that was my outlet.
Right.
From everything. Basketball was my way of just getting a way of escaping everything else. And I played with a passion that I left it all out there. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, man, sometimes some people on my team didn't play with that same passion, and I would get mad or just especially when you got the east side, west side thing. And back then, man, we did have, it was each neighborhood had a basketball team. Like you had the East Athens, then you had Lake Park had a team which consisted of Bethel Homes, and then you had Paul Doe had a team. You had Rock Spring had a team. Broad.
Okay.
So everybody had a team in there, and so when we played, man, we played for real.
And you wanted to make a statement.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Yeah, we played for real. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you married? How did you single now or?
Single.
Divorced. You're divorced. So you haven't been married before?
Yeah, I've been married a couple of times.
A couple of times.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so how would you say using or doing any drinking during that duration of your relationship affected those relationships that you had? Did it play a big role in it?
Man, so I started, so at 19, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got kicked out of college. I was on a basketball scholarship down in Savannah, man, and I had gotten drunk and started a brawl. And I remember going to the dean, and the dean telling me I need to get some help. And he said, he kicked me out of school for a semester, and I had to go see a doctor, go to AA, go to a meeting or whatever. I had 19? To have this paper signed at 19.
19.
And so at 19, man, I didn't think I had a problem with drugs or alcohol, even though I was doing it, but I didn't think it was a problem. I thought I was just doing what 19-year-olds do.
Right.
And I came home, man, and I brought the paper home. And I remember my grandmother, she worked for this doctor. And my grandmother took the paper to the doctor, and the doctor signed it. And I was able to go back to school, right? And dude, I thought my grandmother had hooked me up. I said, boy, my grandma got the plug. She hooked me up.
Yeah.
But what I realized, man, my grandmother hurt me because she didn't allow me to go through what I needed to go through. And because the doctor just signed the paper, he didn't see me or anything. They sent me back to school, and my drinking progressed. And then I got introduced to cocaine while I was in school. So I ended up about my junior year, man, getting while I was, matter of fact, I ended up getting this girl pregnant, and ended up dropping out of school because I wanted to try to, and I came home and so I quit school and one of the things is, man, that like I was the first male from my mom's side of the family, man, to go to college, right?
Okay.
Didn't really have anybody say, hey man, come on, we got you or whatever. So
Right.
I ended up dropping out. And had my son. But then, man, I was drinking a lot then and 80, so now.
So was it still at around 1920ish or just a little later?
Nah, this is like 21. Yeah.
Okay.
Saying, yeah. Because I'm like 20, I'm a junior in college and I had my first son. And man, I was happy. But I had this idea that I didn't want to be like my father.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because my father wasn't there, man. And my father,
he was just there to give you that 7 out.
Man, I remember in high school, man, my father introduced me. He offered me crack.
Now Daddy giving you beer, giving you.
Well, I didn't smoke the crack, but he offered. Because like, man, I wanted to be around my dad because that was my dude. So when he walked from the block and we went to my grandmother's house, and I didn't know he went upstairs in his room and he's getting high and he asked me that I wanted, and I'm like, nah. And at that moment, man, I was hurt. Like my dad would offer me this, and I didn't know what crack was at the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I knew it wouldn't. I had just heard about it because this basketball player, Lynn Byers, had died.
Yeah, from Boston.
Yeah. And so I knew it wasn't that good, man.
Was it crack?
Yeah, that when crack first came out.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, crack first came out. So anyway, man, I started drinking. I had my son, and I started to get into depression a little bit because I lost my scholarship. I wasn't able to play basketball no more, and basketball was the thing that I love. And now I start to dibble in cocaine and then I started, all of my friends, all of my friends, they sold drugs. I didn't. Growing up in church, that I didn't sell, but man, I had this thing where I wanted to be liked. And because I wanted to be liked, so I was the guy that if the police come, I would get everybody dope because I used to run cross country, and I figured that the police don't catch me by the first 100 yards. He's not going to catch me because I could run all the way across town. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I did that because I wanted to fit in and I wanted to be liked, man. And never thinking that, dang, man. And it's only by the grace of God that I never got caught.
Right.
But doing that, man, I started rolling up cigarettes with cocaine in it, which then led. I remember one of my friends, who we grew up together, man, and he's younger than I. He was smoking crack, man, and I was smoking a cigarette, and one night he was like, man, come on, you want to try this? And I did because, so let me go back a minute. So at this time, I got locked up for the very first time.
Okay.
I got locked up because my son's mother had brought him to the Clark Central Cedar Shows football game. And back in the 90s, man, they always shooting at that game.
Right.
So it ain't really safe for me to be there. But then you got a little baby, you got to try to. And I had been drinking, man, and she and I said some stuff, and so I get locked up, and I go back to school, right? But then when I come home, I miss court. So because I'm green, I don't know nothing about the court system.
Right.
One day the sheriff had come out to my mom's house. They came to remind me that I missed court. And I took off running. My mom lived on Vincent Drive at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I ran to Nelly B. I ran to my aunt's house. My aunt smoked crack.
Wait a minute. You ran from Vincent Drive to Nelly B?
To Nelly B.
Well, that's a long, that's a
Yeah.
That's a nice little run right there.
Yeah, I ran from Vincent Drive to Nelly B, and that's where I hid out at. But now I'm in a house with my aunt, and she smoked crack, and she had a crack house, and I'm on the run. And one day my homeboy come through that I grew up with. He, man, try this, and I tried it, and my life changed. My life changed.
So it sounded like the crack and stuff was just around you, like from you was just always around in the environment.
Always around it.
So it just came and grabbed you, like.
Yeah.
And I noticed you talked a little bit about depression. So like, what was it like for you? I mean, was it like most people when they get depressed, like sit in the room and
so man, you gotta understand that like depression wasn't something that was talked about back in 1990s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because nobody wanted the label being crazy or whatever. It wasn't something like today we talk about depression openly or whatever.
Yeah.
But back then we don't, and because nobody wanted to be labeled mental health or crazy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but what it was like, what it was like for me, man, it was, I lost interest in doing everything. Like I ain't playing basketball, just getting out of bed. All that. Now I'm trying to drink it away. I'm trying to, now I'm doing drugs. All of this stuff, trying to bury this pain or bury this depression or whatever. So I didn't know anything about talking to somebody or therapy it was none of that. Therapy was in the bottle. The therapy was getting drunk.
Right.
That was the therapy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah. So, what is one of your darkest times or moments where you felt like, I got to drink something like, what was your?
So man, my darkest time one day, I remember this little 16-year-old kid wanted some Church's chicken. And I wanted a hit so bad, right? And I didn't have a car, but I said, I'll walk and go get it. And I walked over there to get it, but as I was coming back, man, I started crying. And I didn't want to get high no more, but I didn't know how not to get high. And I'm walking and I'm having a conversation with God. And I said, God, man, you said you had a plan for my life. And I said, man, if all I got to do is get high, man, I don't want to live no more.
How old were you then? You
Nah, I was probably late 30s.
Okay.
Then.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Probably 40. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because this has been like after about 20. So man, my addiction went on for over 25 years, and there was a lot of dark times in it.
Right.
But probably the darkest was when I committed suicide. When I wanted to commit suicide, and I'm telling God, man, you got to do something. you got to take this. But man, there was a lot of dark places where drugs and alcohol had took me, man.
Yeah.
It took me places that I said I would never go, and it kept me there longer than I wanted to be there.
Yeah. So, do you think that you have any like triggers, anything that'll trigger you off to make those type of moves?
So I think when we talk about triggers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I understand is that if I don't maintain um um my mental health, if I don't like, there's some things that I got in place that keeps me from to returning back.
Gotcha.
So I get to, like, I go to meetings, I go to church, I pray. So as long as I'm doing those things right there, man, and I'm talking to other people, then, like, now, do thoughts come up or whatever? It's a thought may come, but I don't act out on those thoughts because I know where that will take me, man.
Right.
I know where that will take me.
Yeah. So, do you feel like it's any people that you might need to make amends with? You know,
yeah. First person I had to make amends to was myself.
Got it.
You know, because, you know, in the liturgy said we did many people great harm, but most of all we harmed ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, like I would be mad at you for how you did me, but I did me worse than anybody else ever did me. You know what I'm saying? So I had to make some amends to myself, man. And
that's hard, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but making amends. So the first amend I made to myself was, man, I started taking a shower. Because in my addiction, I ain't shower. I started going to the doctor. Which is huge because, man, I just, like, I started going to the doctor, right? And I found out I had a cancerous tumor on my kidney. And
this was recent.
This is recent.
Yeah.
And man, because I went to the doctor, I made some amends to myself and went to the doctor. I got a chance to catch that early and just had surgery and had the tumor removed, but I still got my kidney.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, I had to make some amends to my kids. I had to make some amends to my mom. You know what I'm saying? You know, my sister. You know, like I remember, man. This is, you know, a long time ago, man. But I stole I was trying to control my use.
Okay.
And I've been working. I said, well, I'm just getting this little bit. I'm gonna let my sister hold my money. And my sister went to the club, and I ended up selling her VCR. And she had $250 in my. So my thinking was, okay, she can get $50. She can get her new VCR, give me my money back, and I'm good.
Right.
Man, she ain't give me no money back, and it damaged the relationship. You know, drugs has done that, man. It has damaged. You know, I damaged a lot of relationships because of that. But I've also seen how those relationships being restored.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I've also seen that as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I have some relationships that have been restored.
Gotcha. So, you know, what kind of advice would you give to anyone who's struggling right now that's kind of hopeless, you know, in that state, like, man, I don't see nothing getting better. You know, these strongholds. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was hopeless, man. And I remember when, you know, staying clean one day was a struggle. Like, man, I don't know. I didn't know how, you know, and I remember going to meetings and people would talk about being clean. And one of the things for me was I ain't seen all the meetings I went to. I didn't see anybody that I knew that had used. I needed to see somebody that I know he used.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because he grew up in my neighborhood or whatever. So for the person that is struggling, man, one of the things that I would say, man, is man, give yourself a break.
Yeah.
You know, there's many different pathways to recovery. Everybody ain't gonna go to AA. Everybody ain't gonna go to NA.
Yeah.
Some people go to church. Some people go to therapy. Some people don't. They just God just take the taste.
Right.
You know, one of the things for what I would say is, man, first, get connected, you know, whether it's AA, church, or whatever, and then, you know, find out what works best for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, man, you deserve, you know, to live a happy, joyous, and free life, you know, without the use of drugs. You know, one of the things that I found out about like, so because I don't use drugs no more, right? I still got a lot of problems, but I just don't put no dope on top of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just don't use, like, the problems is, and when I don't put no dope on top of it, guess what? The problem usually go away, or I get a solution for it.
Yeah.
But that's the, you know, but so I heard somebody say one time, man, if using is the answer, what the hell is the question? If using is the answer to, so using should never be the answer to anything that I'm going through, anything that we got going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So, yeah, I heard, you know, some people say religion is for people who are scared to go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Spirituality is for people who's been to hell already.
Mm-hmm.
You agree with that statement? Like, what's the difference between like the religion and the spiritual part of it, or are they both connect? You know.
So man, religion is a set of rules, right? So you know, when we came up, we thought about, but man, it's about having a relationship. It's about having a relationship with the God of my understanding. Like, you know, because see, you got a lot of people that are quote unquote religion, but they treat folk like, see, when I have true relationship, man, then I can have compassion. I can care for my brother or my sister. I can love, you know, I can show love. But religion, man, they ain't gonna allow me to do that because there's a set of rules. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man.
So, how many kids you have?
Man, I got a bunch of kids. I got 10.
10. I know you just went to New York for
just went
your
to
daughter.
Yes, sir.
Is she in New York?
She's still in New York.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I went to New York because my daughter lost her mom. You know, but because I ain't getting high, man, I was able to show up for my daughter.
Got it.
I was able to show up and be there with her. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
Through that, and continue to be there with her in this process.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she needs you a lot. You know. Do you care to talk about the Miami stint? Or
I ain't got no problem. Listen, man, I'm free. So
it was it was funny, but not funny. You know that you.
It was free. So man,
you stayed in Miami for a little while, didn't you?
Yeah. So when I got on the dope, man, and I did a lot of moving around. My uncle had a Domino's up in Chicago, so I moved to Chicago and I stayed there for a few months. And the girl that I was dating in college was from Miami, and because we talked on the phone a lot, and her mom would fly her to Chicago, her mom decided that it'll be a great thing for me to come to Miami. It'll be cheaper. So I go to Miami. And one of the things that I learned, man, and I heard was, wherever you go, you take you with you. So I go to Miami, and if you know anything about Miami, Miami is the place you want to be if you smoke crack.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Cause crack is real cheap down in Miami, man. You know what I'm saying? It's real cheap. It's plentiful. So I get to Miami, man, and I try to. So I get there, and the girl that I went to Miami with, you know, we're expecting a baby,
Okay.
and so man, the day that she was having the baby, I went to the hospital, and at this time I'm working for the state of Florida as a job placement coach. I went to the hospital, and because this was my fourth child, I kind of knew how that process go. I know sometimes it could take a long time for the baby to come.
Right.
So I left, and because she hadn't dilated, I left and went and got me a couple of drinks, and the drinks didn't work, man. I wanted something else. So I got me some crack, and I ran out of money, man. And so we had bought my daughter like clothes, Pampers, you know, all the things that a baby need when they come home from the hospital. And I loaded all that stuff up and I put it in a buggy, and I'm pushing it in a cart in Miami, and I go sell all of it, and I get high. And after I sell it all, I go to the hospital, and her mother is, you know, I go there, and she's trying to hand me this beautiful little girl, and I wouldn't take her. And the mom said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Man, I just sold all of her stuff." And I'm crying. And she said, "Why didn't you sell the TV? Why didn't you sell the radio or the stereo?" And man, because I was caught in the grips, right? I got up and I went and sold the TV and I went and sold the radio. Like I couldn't stop using, man. Even after selling all of my daughter's stuff. That wasn't enough for me. Like I couldn't stop. I was caught up in the grips, man.
Yeah.
You know, so from that point, man, she left, and you know, we had a condo. She left and went home, and I ended up losing it, and so I was homeless in Miami for a little while. And you know, Miami, the weather is nice. You know, I've been homeless in 3 states. Miami is probably where the weather is. You know, because New York. Cold.
Yeah.
Georgia, you know, but Miami, man, the weather, you know, so I slept outside, man. Matter of fact, I slept outside my daughter's mom's window, and every morning she would come outside and wake me up before her mom go to work, because her mom didn't want me out there, didn't want me in her house or whatever.
The daughter did?
Yeah, she let me. So you know, I don't have anybody in Miami, so my daughter mom let me sleep outside. She would bring me a blanket. I would sleep outside her window.
The mom?
Yeah. Okay. And she would she would come out and wake me up before her mom go to work. And when her mom go to work, I would go in the house and shower and play with my daughter. You know what I'm saying? One of the things I could say about my daughter mom, man, even with that, man, she never said anything bad about me to my daughter.
Right.
Because you know, I saw my daughter a couple of times, you know, over the years. But then when my daughter was 17, she came up to visit me over the summer for a couple of weeks, and I had a speaking engagement at Timothy Church, and I was speaking to the youth, and I shared about that experience. And when we got in the car, I asked my daughter, I said, "What do you think about what you just heard?" And you know, she started crying. I started crying. And she said, I knew. She said, my mom had already told me. She said, but my mom told me to give you a chance. She told me, you know, and so she said, I'm so glad that I did. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that was like real powerful, man, because like, you know, she made a decision that, man, I'm gonna give you a shot, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So she was one of those people to make amends with. What's the relationship like with the mom now? Like
I haven't talked to the mom. You know, they moved to Iowa. So I haven't talked to the
but
mom.
It's not a bad like.
No. It never got bad. You know what I'm saying? Just disappointed, just hurt because of what I did. even when, man, I remember when I first got clean, I was at the Salvation Army, and this is just going back, and I get a text message. I had been there about 15, about 30 days. I don't even think 30 days. But I woke up one morning to a text message from another daughter, and it said, "I'm proud of you.
Mm.
I love you." And I remember sitting on the bed, and I was crying because that daughter used to tell me, "You ain't none of my daddy, you crackhead." Da. So I had waited 18 years for her to say that she loved me, and I said, "Man, I want to hold on to this."
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
and I started to build off of that because I ain't want to lose those relationships, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To just being selfish and going back to you.
So, just about the last question. So those tough times, how do you feel like you were able to make it through? Because you went through a lot of stuff and you survived. Like, how did you manage to make it through? What do you think it was?
So, man, one of the things I know is that, and people say that, man, I had a praying grandmother. And I know that even like when people are dead and gone, the prayers don't die when they die. You know what I'm saying? And I know my grandmother prayed for me, man. I know some, some folks. So it was nothing, and it was nothing that I did. It was just God, man. And because of God have a plan for my life, man. And so like even now, man, God has blown my mind. With some of the things that He has done for me and through me.
Yeah.
Man, I get to be a channel or a vessel, man, that like to help so many men lives change. I help so many mothers get their sons back. I help so many wives get their husband back. I help, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's
I think that was where did I read that at? I read that it was on the it was in a newspaper where you were helping a lot of people get their life and stuff back together.
Yes,
like you said, the kids and
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So you was a vessel for God to use you,
yes, sir.
man, yeah. That's incredible. And I tell you, like, one of the things that I gravitated to was when you spoke in the AA meetings and stuff like that. I was like, man, who is that? That guy, right? That seems to be pretty anointed, So I need to give him a call, and
Sure.
man, to this day, we've been good friends. I call you just about every day, if not every other day, just to talk with you, man, because sometimes, man, you share so much positivity on the turmoil and the choices that I made to put myself in these positions. But I appreciate it. Yeah,
Sure.
I really appreciate it. So man, I can hope that you continue to do great things, and I believe you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming through.
Man, I appreciate you having
and
me.
sharing
Man.
your story. Yeah,
It's an honor, man, to that
for sure.
for you to invite me here,
Sure.
man. So thank you for creating this platform, this stage, man, for me to just share, and maybe that it will help someone else, man.
For sure.
Yeah, because we do recover, we do get better, man. We do recover.
For sure.
Yeah,
appreciate it.